Hey, hello, hi. Uh, as you can see from today's attire, is that these are quite formal settings. Actually, I am in front of you as your fellow medical doctor, fellow medical student. Sorry, not doctor yet, but yeah, I am in front of you as a professional or a trying to be medical professional. And why is that so? Well, you see, to give you some context, last time when I made a video, it was about Ahmed Faraz goat. It reached interesting audience, and it reached the audience that knew my father, and my father got to know about it. Well, he asked me about stuff like, do you have a YouTube channel? And I was like, yes. Then he was like, well, is that why do my people know it? And I'm like, that is how YouTube works, that I like people, it's open domain, people get to know it. And he was like, well, yes, you see, you are well, your reputation should precede you, in a way that they think of you as a doctor first and all of this later. And I was like, I get that, I definitely do. But issue is, a lot of people do know me just as a medical student, which is why these were my attempts to tell them that, there's also Yesh Vaksari after doctor. But anyways, he is not wrong. This channel definitely has lacked its predecessors contribution, or a supply of medical knowledge or medical context to that. People should know that I am a doctor, and especially, well, for my father, I this video is specifically for my dad. So let's title it 10 facts, 10 medical facts to make your dad proud. But anyways, so we're going to talk about medicine, we're going to talk about facts, we're going to talk about interesting facts, so that people, like, there's not a lot of context should not require for this then. So anyways, let's go subject wise. First I want to talk about is physiology. Now, when we studied physiology in first year, this is one fact that I really liked in first year, was that there is this one thing called as Cushing's reflex. And what happens is that when the intracranial pressure in your head increases, it causes your heart to give a last ditch attempt at stuff. It's very interesting term that my teacher used. She said that when you are dying, when you're about to die, your body tries to do one last full attempt at saving you. And I thought, like, the last ditch attempt as a terminology carries a lot of philosophical context to it. Like, I love the concept of, it's very in line with how you see in movies or media, where a hero is about to die, and a very minute last second he gets a surge in his body to do something. So I love that our body also does that on a physiological basis. The other, okay, biochemistry. Now see, did you all know that the term diabetes mellitus, or DM, comes from, like, it literally means sweet urine. And it was called that way because, well, in the past, when people observed that dogs used to sniff around a certain like certain people's urines. Like, they would actually go and try to smell certain people's urines, and they would not do this for every person that urinated in open. And then that made them think that, why is that? And then they realized that the dogs actually find the urine sweet, which led to the name diabetes mellitus. It's kind of interesting, with just like literal translation meaning sweet urine. Another few biochemical facts are that there's actually a disorder where your urine smells like maple syrup. And that's quite cool. I personally think that's quite good. There is also another medical disorder in which, if you keep your urine standing for a long time, it turns black. That is also cool, in my opinion. I feel like medical facts are a lot more fun when you kind of speak them, and you can't differentiate a medical fact from fiction. Although when we as medical professionals try to speak about medical facts, we try to give reasoning, because I feel like for us the fascinating part is more of the pathogenesis rather than just the initial shock factor of what's exactly going on there. Like dextrocardia, right? This is a trope that is used a lot in media, is that dextrocardia is when your heart is not on your left side, it's on your right side. And that's kind of cool. By the way, people thought that the who was the son in Mirzapur, when he died, they thought he had dextrocardia, which is why he would turn out alive. That is the theory they had. Another thing that but coming back to what I was talking about, so like the dextrocardia thing is, although it's quite interesting, it's quite fun, a major part of what you have to realize is that there are other syndromes. There's a syndrome, Kalaman syndrome, which not only has your heart on the other side, but all the organs are loped, like that's on the other side. So your liver would be on your left side, and your whole like stomach would be on your right, and everything gets switched and everything gets flipped. And It's a congenital syndrome. Congenital meaning that it is there from birth, a birth defect. So that is quite cool if you ask me. Another cool fact about pediatrics is that when a neonate or a child that is for less than 28 days of age, when he or she or it has infection, there is no fever because their immune system, their immunity is not good enough to actually make a fever response, so they don't get fever. So when they have sepsis is called as the infection. It is called sepsis is called a silent killer, which is kind of cool. Another interesting fact that is very cool to know about is that when you have a brain damage that is in the posterior part of your brain, there is a certain syndrome in which not only are you blind because you have lost the area of your brain that can see stuff and like interpret stuff, you have also lost the area of your brain that associates visual stimuli. Like obviously right now you can see this, you can see what this is, but to really understand that this is a snow globe which New York on it, you have to use the other area of your brain. So when both of the areas go, not only do you not know, not only are you blind, you also deny blindness. There's a lot of confabulation. Like when you ask a patient with this syndrome that, oh, do you see, they're gonna say yes, and when you try to tell them that no, you are blind, then they are like, they deny it. And they, when you ask them, okay, tell me what is in front of you, tell me how many fingers these, they try to guess it. There's confabulation, there's a lot of stuff there, like just making shit up, which is also kind of cool. Like it also kind of makes you realize that in your brain, really, not only are you seeing stuff, you're also making sense in your brain, and that is in a specific part of your brain. Like obviously your mind is like a whole thing, like mind, soul and stuff, what you want to say, but there is a specific part in your brain that actually associates stuff to other stuff. And if that part goes away, you are not being, you not only are you blind, you are blind to the fact that you're blind, and that's kind of cool in my opinion. Another thing I want to talk about is that actually, while we are on the topic of stroke or brain damages, there is also, so there's the concept of obviously being left sided or right sided. So yeah, the natural consensus is that the left part of your brain controls the right side of your body, and the right side of your brain controls the left part of it. It is correct. That is very valid. But yeah, that would make you think that every righty person come dominant hemisphere is the left sphere, which is correct. And every lefty person with dominant spear should be the right spear, which would have been correct theoretically, but that's not true. Even majority of lefty people also have right-sided dominant hemispheres. uh, Sorry, lefty people have left-sided dominant hemisphere. And dominant hemisphere is important because your speech areas, the areas which you understand speech and the speech comes to you, lies in the dominant hemisphere. So when they are in the dominant sphere, whenever there is a lesion or when there is damage to that area, you get aphasia, you can't speak, you can't understand stuff, a lot of that. But what happens if you get damage in the same area on the other side or the other hemisphere? Well, there is something called very cool that is called as hemi-neglect. Now what happens in hemi-neglect is that you ignore one side of your body, like in the middle, from I say, like you draw a line in the middle, you ignore that the other side exists, you deny its existence. And this is not just some philosophical bullshit kind of denying, you physically deny it. Like you groom only half part of your face, you comb only half part of your face, you eat from only one side, you just fill your mouth from one side, you eat half of the plate, like half plate ka you eat food. When you're asked to draw a clock, you draw all 12 sides on like one hemisphere. It is crazy how much of a fictional disease hemi-neglect feels like. It's very real, it's a real disorder that happens. And I think that's kind of cool. There are a lot of other facts, like when you in for forensics medicine, you kind of learn about, we get to learn about the trajectory and the different kind of gyroscopic stability of a bullet, and why is that a thing. Like why do we have rifled bullets, why do we have non-rifled bullets, what's the difference, how is that trajectory going to be. It's so cool that we get to learn that in medicine. I feel like that's very interesting fact. Another thing that we learn from FMT is that when people abuse cocaine, they get what they call as tactile hallucinations. Like they feel like there are bugs underneath their skin. They're called like cocaine bugs. That was very interesting. But yeah, man, those this is for my dad. I hope this video reaches him. I hope the patients that do go and meet him tell him that they have come from me after seeing top 10 medical facts to make your dad proud. Anyways, I will take your leave. This was a slightly impromptu. I just got home from college, and this was just a very impromptu video. And this has no relation to any other institutions that exist in the world. This is just me talking on my own. This has no all of this responsibility, accountability lies on me. Even the misinformation, if there is any, I've tried to not keep any. Let's see. Anyways, think well.